stats just came out. Just in
About
fact,
people leaving
how many
California?
people have left California to
It's
get the hell out of there?
expensive to live
The
there.
Texas, Vegas, Tennessee, Florida, the whole deal.
Yeah.
The stats are out there. I don't know, Rob, if you want to pull that up, but it's out.
Yesterday, I got the phone call we were talking about earlier. My mom called me about 12.5 eggs, and she said something like $20-some, and I was like, she's a little older. I go, Mom, you mean like 15? Like, not, it can't be. She goes, Vinny, she sent me a picture. 12.5 eggs were in the 20, and I'm like,
No way.
How much is? I'm not joking. How much is gas a gallon, Cali? Average.
I think it's around $5 or $6. I think it's $6 maybe.
Six
It got up to $8, but I think it came down, and now it's around $5 or $6.
Unbelievable.
How the hell do people survive in California?
I don't know.
But
I want to know.
they spend most of their money on housing. Like in California, you're supposed to spend 30% of your
30% of your gross income.
I
correct.
think in California it's 50, right?
Yeah, then
People-
how do you have money for car payments?
I don't
for
know.
Food and beverage, for going out. For,
Adam, OnlyFans and selling drugs.
What's going to happen is, you're supposed to give or take 10% of your paycheck to put it into a retirement fund, whatever. How many people in California that are just living, 50% on the house, food and beverage,
Hand 'em out.
car payments. Yeah, everyone has to have a car in California. They're going to retire with $0 in their bank account when they go to retire. It's going to be an ugly situation.
But let me ask. So you know everything. I don't know anything about money. I don't.
You know what you should do since you don't know about money? Get your own podcast and tell people about it.
You got $20,000 advance on a book. What do you mean you don't know?
What are you're
Jimmy.
blowing up.
Game in the system.
What? So I put my retirement. I didn't want to put it in the stock market. So I put it in an annuity, and everybody's like, "You're stupid for putting in an annuity." But now the stock market's good. So then I did. I started putting in a 401k, but that's going to crash now, right?
Well, it'll come back up.
You think?
Long term or short term?
You think long term it'll become back? You don't
It
think?
always does.
How-
So because we're
how-
going to lose the petrodollar right now. That's what so Joe Biden's shenanigans in China and Russia is going to screw the petrodollar.
Stop. I'm just going to stop you right now. What are you talking about right now?
So
You think that's going to affect the entire stock market for the rest?
Unbelievable. Well, I'll tell you.
God.
So if you don't know what the petrodollar is, I'll explain it. So in the 70s, Nixon took us off the gold standard.
Right.
And so he went to the petrodollar, which was we guaranteed or we promised the use of our military to Saudi Arabia wherever they wanted it, which is why we're committing a genocide in Yemen. In exchange for that, if you were going to buy oil from Saudi Arabia, any other country in the world, they'd had to change their money into U.S. dollars. And so then they could buy the oil in U.S. dollars. And that's called the petrodollar. Now, what does that do? It makes every country decide, well, I'm going to keep a bunch of U.S. dollars. And then they just started using it for other stuff, too. So that's how the U.S. dollar became the reserve currency of the world. And now Saudi Arabia, because of the shit we're doing with Russia, and China, they're starting to sell oil in other denominations than the U.S. dollar.
China.
They're sending it to China, right?
Yeah.
China's
Yeah.
What is it called? The yuan.
The yuan.
And they're sending. I think it's India, maybe even Italy.
Is this the brick thing I constantly hear about?
And then the BRICS thing's happening. So there's a shift that it's going to happen because of American imperialism and hegemony. And when we are no longer the reserve currency, doesn't our economy collapse?
Yeah, so to me, here's a couple things you got to think about with that. You notice earlier when we were talking about our sponsor Gold, and I give a shout out to them, and it's like, hey, a small percentage, put it there. The only way, your age right now, you're 57. I think I looked at the numbers there.
Right.
So you got, I don't know if you're going to be retiring. It's a different story of retirement
I
today
know.
versus, but you got a YouTube channel. That's the best annuity you got, by the way. The AdSense that's going to be paying you, it's not, your 401k doesn't compare to your YouTube channel that you have. That's the ultimate AdSense. If you do it right, sponsorship, you're doing it right with Patreon, all that stuff. Having said that, let's just say you are an average guy that doesn't have a YouTube thing and you are dealing with a 401k. It depends on what age you want to retire. It depends on your risk tolerance. It depends on all of that stuff. But this is one way of looking at it. The whole climate change argument, okay, when the AOC gets up and says, the world's coming to an end in 12 years, and then your best friend, the girl you like the most, Greta, who she's coming out with a new book. If I'm sure you ordered it. Greta,
Your best friend.
I love her.
Yeah.
She's so
Greta's
awesome.
got a new book coming up about climate change. The best way to gauge if these things are real, climate change, is go talk to actuaries who run these big insurance companies whose jobs is to protect $1 billion. Because one thing insurance companies hate is to pay out money. They do not like paying out any of their money. And, you notice long term, they don't have a challenge with what's going to happen with the market, with climate change. If they did, they would be investing in different places. The whole real estate on the water, what's going to happen with homes in Florida, if it's that bad, why are insurance companies, offering the insurance to these homes on the water? Or else Is it going to be an issue 100 years from now? Probably. Is it going to be an issue 50 years from now? Probably. Is it going to be an issue in the next 10, 20 years? Probably not. So the actuary's job is to sit there and calculate risk. Everything's about that. So the petrodollar, the fiat currency, whatever way we want to put it, could that collapse? Could America go through the mess they're going through right now if we don't pay our debt? The biggest, scariest number to be thinking about is the following. This is the craziest number. In 2019, we paid $350 billion on interest of our debt. In 2020, our debt interest payment was 0.5%. We were paying $350 billion.
Wow.
2021 was 0.1%. It went lower. We still paid $350 billion in interest. 2022, last year, our interest went up to 1.9 average. We paid 460, 470. Here's the crazy part. Just Q4 of 2022, Jimmy, we paid $213 billion of interest. Just Q4 at a 1.9% average. Right now, we're on a 4.5 to 6% run rate this year. This will be the first year where America is going to pay over $1 trillion. It could be $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion. We pay interest. In interest only. In interest only. Your debt is already climbing heavily. Now add $1 trillion of interest and credit card payments in America. Credit card debt in America is 943, highest we've ever had it. And savings is declining. Last month, our savings rate was 2.4%. We're not saving a lot of money right now. That's a 17-year low. Those are the things to really be concerned about on what's going to happen with the market. Now, what this guy Jimmy's trying to do, and Powell's trying to do with the rates, with inflation, to try to kind of calm it down, the more and more he keeps increasing it, the more and more he keeps increasing it, inflation isn't dropping as quickly as people are thinking. He still has to increase rates. And there's a story that just came out, which is pretty interesting. This kind of tells you what's happened to the real estate industry. This is a Wall Street Journal story about real estate. If you can pull this one up, and if you can tell me what page this is on, let me find this story. Okay, here you go. It's as home sales slow, realtors go back to other jobs. As home sales slow, realtors go. And this is not like a regular article, Breitbart. This is Wall Street Journal,
and
right?
So home sales are slowing because of interest rates.
Interest rates.
But wouldn't the home? So people still want
and
to sell,
demand.
But it's not interest rates. It's a good question you ask.
Okay.
It's greed. It's not interest rates. It's greed. There's a house in our community that I'm trying to buy for somebody in my family. Okay, they're asking 1.29 for it. They were asking 1.7 million a year and a half ago. So they went to 1.6, 1.5, 1.4. Now it's 1.29. That house is worth 750, but they're asking 1.29. Okay, so the 1.29 is these families every month or every 2 months that they lower $100,000. Guess what they're starting to realize? This is not worth 1.7 million anymore. Okay, this is probably going to end up selling for $900,000, $800,000. So it's not interest rates. High interest rates are giving a reality check to homeowners that are being greedy, thinking, wait for it, we can sell it for more. Wait for it, we can sell it for more. Wait for it, we can sell it for more. And then shit, babe, lower by $100,000. Lower by $100,000. So it's greed that's causing these realtors to leave, because realtors today don't know how to tell the client, Jimmy, can I tell you something? Yes, what is it? You're going to get upset when I tell you this, Jimmy. What's that? Your house is not worth $1.5 million. This is a $900,000 house. What's the reaction Jimmy's going to have? You know what? Now, Jimmy, I'm going to leave. I'm the realtor. I'm trying to give some common sense here. When I leave, guess what Jimmy's wife's going to say? Babe, fire Patrick immediately. He's clueless. Then he's going to call the next realtor, and any realtor is going to say what? Just like any guy says on a date with a girl, I'm going to change your life. Yeah. And the realtor's going to say, Patrick has no clue what he's. This is at least a $1.55 million home. Then you hire that realtor. Then a realtor 90 days later, guess what that realtor has to tell Jimmy? Jimmy, I have to break it to you. Yeah. This is an $800,000 house. So it's the relationship between the realtor and the client right now. That's the conflict. Realtors don't know how to break it to the client that this house is not worth what you think it's worth. I don't think it's just the rates.
Can I add one thing?
Say hello to way more quality finds you'll love forever on Wayfair. Way more dependability.
One thing real quick. By the way, when we're talking about the realtors that are going back to other jobs, we're not talking about the top 10% of realtors, top 20%. We're not even talking about the top 50%. We're talking about all the guys and gals that saw what was happening in 2020 and like, hold on, let me get on the bandwagon. And they were cooks, chefs, Uber drivers, whatever, photographers, whatever, and they got their real estate license. By the way, I did the same thing in 2005 when I saw everybody making money in real estate in Miami. I'm like, oh, I want to get my real estate license. Then came 2008 crash. All right, I'm done being a realtor. So all these fake fly-by-night realtors, they're out. And then it's the people who are experts at this. It's almost like the people that want to start a podcast. Hey, everyone's doing a podcast. Next thing you know, times get tough. All of a sudden, people drop out of the podcast world. It's the people who are in it for longevity and the right reasons are still in it. So shout out to those realtors. The people who are in it for a quick buck, they're out of it.
So you think I'm okay? I don't have to worry about where I put my money.
I think you just keep in an annuity. You're good.
What?
Yeah?
For what time frame? 10 years? 5 years? 3 years? It's very different. If you have no plans with your 401k over a 10-year period, maybe look at the allocations, pay attention to it closely. You don't want to have your stocks in 100% small cap stocks. I don't know what type of equities you got. If you got the index, and I don't know what kind of annuity, if it was a variable annuity or an index annuity or a fixed annuity. Those are three different types of annuities. You got a straight up fixed, and what was the rate they gave you?
So it was 5%, but then after the fees, it actually turns out to be like 3%.
But isn't there a lockup period?
If you look up an index annuity, what an index annuity does is made for boomers. An index annuity would be you can get the upside of how the market does up to percentage. So they'll say like, hey, if the market does 38%, you're capped at 12.
Okay.
But if the market does minus 38% like 2008, guess what? You're not losing anything. You stay at zero.
Stay at zero.
So it gives you the 0 to 12. So an index annuity was designed specifically for boomers, and it gave the best of both worlds, a fixed annuity and a variable annuity.
I feel good about that.
Yeah, so that's the part to look at. Yeah.
Jimmy,
I'll
just
do that
do
then.
yourself a favor. Take all the money, go to Vegas, put it all on black, baby.
What is
You
a
got this.
self-directed 401k? What is that? Or do
Where
you know
you
what
can
that
choose
is?
your allocation strategy.
Like you
is that
could,
what
like
you're
I
saying?
want. My brother says he puts it into real estate. Instead of putting it into the stock market, he does a 401k somehow where he puts it into real estate. Is that possible?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of
To
course.
REITs.
You can put gold in your 401k. You can do 100% gold in your 401k. if you
Really?
want.
Did you hear
can
what
do-
Peter Thiel did with his 401k or his Roth IRA?
He really
became a billionaire. I mean, he was already
But
a
the
billionaire.
way he did it, that's not the average person's going to do.
Jimmy, if you want some consultation, we have an app called Monect. That you
You're so funny. You are funny.
What is that? I don't get the joke.
By the way,
No,
do
it's
you
not
know
a
about
joke.
the app Monect? It's a very interesting app, Monect. Here's how Monect works. So you know how many times people DM you and they say, Jimmy, I'd love to talk to you for 15 minutes, man.
Yes.
Can we get on? And you're like, dude, I don't have time. And you also don't want to ask him for the money.
Right.
Well, on Monect, it does one of three things. If a person wants to ask you a question for DM, text response, you'll say it's $100, but you respond back 100%. If you want to respond with a video, it's $200. But if they want to do a 15-minute FaceTime with you, it's $50 a minute. So you'll have a 15-minute FaceTime with them, $750. You'll make 80%. Monect keeps 20%. So Monect app is made for influencers out there.
Who made that?
It's the guy that's sitting in this room here with you, Monect. It's our app.
Vinny,
Yeah.
that guy right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Did you make that app?
No, it was
But you know how this app got started? This
You
app,
made it?
Yeah. This app got started because my lawyer charged me for a 7-minute call. He charged me 30 minutes. I called him back. I said, bro, we had a 7-minute call. He says, minutes roll up. I said, what are you worth by the minute? He says, no lawyer charges by the minute. I said, I'd love it if there was a company that I can pay lawyers by the minute. So instead of looking for it, we built a company called Monect.
Really?
Do you have a minute to connect? Let's Monect on Monect. So Jimmy Dore, if you wanted to do FaceTime with people, you can be up there. And
Jimmy,
it's-
you could be one of the experts, but if you need help with your fixed annuity or your self-allocation
yeah.
401k plan,
the
come talk to
401k.
me. I'll charge you $100
he's
a
so
minute.
funny. He's so
Are you
funny.
a financial guy too?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I need a financial.
He says,
That was the realest thing Jimmy said all day. You